Boy, in a week that really needed some light and goodness, this movie came at just the right time. And it's actually really funny.
From the old movies of 30 years ago and beyond,
to the world of the new films of the last 30 years.
To the movies that are now playing, this is Old, New, and Now Playing. And now, with his reviews and thoughts on movie news, here's your host, Will Robinson Smith.
Hey there, I hope you're having a good start to your weekend. If this is your first time joining me, thank you so much for checking out this channel. And if you're returning, thanks for coming back. You're the best. Now, this has been a really hard week for myself and a lot of this country. And so, of course, my thoughts and prayers go out to everyone who is directly involved with all of these horrific events. And I think one of the best parts about the movies is that they can come at a time in which we can escape from some of the more tragic things that are happening in our real life. And honestly, for me personally, this movie could not have come at a better time because I thought it was funny. It was exactly the kind of escapism that I needed right now. So let's just go ahead and talk about this film. Let's jump into The Secret Life of Pets with our main topic, your feature presentation. The Secret Life of Pets is the latest movie to come out of Illumination Entertainment. And if you didn't remember that this is the same studio behind the Minions, don't worry, they chuck in a few reminders, but we'll talk more about that later. The movie is mostly about answering the question, what do our pets really do when we leave? I'm pretty sure that my cat just sleeps for 9 hours or so, but it does make you think. Anyway, the movie focuses on a dog named Max. His world gets thrown for a loop when his owner, Katie, adopts a new dog named Duke. The two go head-to-head immediately, almost in a Woody versus Buzz Lightyear kind of way. They're forced to work together when they get caught by the dog catchers and go on an adventure to find their way home. So as I was alluding to, this movie does ring a lot of the same bells as the first Toy Story, but if you're going to copy an animated feature, you might as well go with the best, or one of the best. Max is designed to be a likable protagonist, but is a bit stubborn and set in his ways. I thought this was a well-executed character voiced by Louis C.K. I thought he created a nice personality for him and had some really nice timing with his lines. And really, I thought this was a great voiceover group, whether you're talking about Eric Stone Street of Modern Family fame as Duke.
Mind your own business, oh my gosh, what happened to you?
Comedian Hannibal Buress as Buddy, or the writer of the Sundance hit In a World, Lake Bell, as the voice of the temperamental cat, Chloe.
I'm your friend, and as your friend, I gotta be honest with you, I don't care about you or your problem.
As good as the rest of the voice cast was, and it was quite good I thought, there were two that stood out to me most. One was Kevin Hart, who plays Snowball the rabbit, and the other was Jenny Slate, who plays this little fluffy dog named Gidget. I don't know what it is about Kevin Hart, but despite the fact that he seems to be in like every other movie, I still enjoy watching him in most things. Seriously though, not including this movie, he's been in at least 18 films since 2010. That's crazy. What I liked about the character that he made in this movie is that it doesn't feel exactly like Kevin Hart doing his Kevin Hart thing. You could tell it was him, don't get me wrong, but this felt like something more fresh and was a nice departure from what we usually get from him. The other big stand-up for me was Jenny Slate. She really wasn't on my radar before I heard her as the voice of Bellwether in Disney's Zootopia earlier this year, but there is something really endearing about her voice. She has a great delivery and a cool, almost rasp at some times that really drew me into her character.
Oh, that sounds exciting. Well, I won't interrupt. I've got a very busy day too.
Beyond Max and Duke, Gidget has the most prominent story arc, and it's a fun one to watch unfold. This movie is directed by Chris Renound and written by the guys who penned both of the Despicable Me movies, which I did like, and I think that this movie is actually better than either of those two, but you can definitely see some of the similarities between all three films just in the way that some of the characters interacted and just the way the world looked and felt, but there were some things that did take me out of the film. Illumination, of course, is owned by NBC Universal, and they never let you forget it. The movie takes place in New York City, and there were a few prominent shots promoting some of their biggest shows like The Tonight Show and SNL. There was also a promo poster on the back of a bus for their December animated release, Sing. Also, there's a Minions short at the beginning of this movie. If you're a fan of the Minions on their own, you'll probably like their bit, but for me personally, I'm pretty over the Minions, so I found myself bored by it. As far as I can tell, this is the first time an Illumination Entertainment movie did a short in front of one of their films, and you know, I can see why they would want to copy the Pixar model. Obviously, it works really well for them, but I think part of what makes it work so well is the fact that the short in front of the Pixar movie stands so independently from the rest of the film, and, you know, I think if Illumination is going to keep doing that, I'd like to see them do something that's not just a Minions short. I think that would be really cool, and I bet they have a lot of great ideas for things in the future. I would just like to actually see them. On the whole though, I thought this movie really does a good job of capturing the energies of these different pets and has a lot of great moments. There's some heart in the mix and a lot of surprising and genuine laughs. The biggest surprise comedy for me came from a hawk voiced by Albert Brooks in the movie, who has some really fun animation too. You'll see what I'm talking about, just watch his eyes. I'm going to give Secret Life of Pets an 8.5 out of 10. It's not my favorite animated movie of this year, but will probably end up in my top 5 animated films. And before we wrap things up today, let's talk a little bit about the future of movies with our new movie news segment, Newsflash. This is a trimmed down version of what used to be the rundown, in which I'll put a minute on the clock, go through some movie news items pretty quickly, and then I'll slow things down, give you my thoughts on them, and then we'll just wrap things up from there. So here we go. First up, Entertainment Weekly's cover story is all about the bad guys. They're talking Suicide Squad and dropping some great new photos from the film. The movie revolves around a group of villains who are brought together by the government to help take down even worse criminals. The film was written and directed by the man who helmed 2014's Fury, David Ayer. When asked about Suicide Squad's role in the larger DC extended universe, given the poor reception of Batman v Superman, he said in part, "All of the attention has swung onto it, and it has to carry a lot more weight than it was ever intended to. I think it can sustain it, but it's a lot of pressure. You definitely feel the pressure." And while Warcraft wasn't well received in the US, people are still betting big on future movie adaptations of video games like Assassin's Creed. Former Ubisoft Motion Pictures CEO Jean-Julien Baronnet is opening up Marla Studios, which will focus on pumping out video game movies, according to Variety. He said in part, "The key is to have a close relationship with the game designers and to work with them on key creative angles that will best cope with the game's DNA." As far as the Suicide Squad news goes, I'm really digging these pictures, especially this one of Common, Jared Leto, and Margot Robbie. But there's something really unsettling about seeing the Joker acting like he's pleading to someone, you know? And Ayer's comments make sense. He has to be a bit nervous to see how his movie is received. Considering the amount of backlash that Batman v Superman got earlier this year, it's really up to his movie and next year's Wonder Woman to help right the DC ship moving forward. As far as the news about video game to movie adaptations, I think it is a smart idea to have a studio whose primary focus is to try to massage these properties and get them ready to be developed into big budget movies, and it sounds like Baronet is probably the right guy to do it. We will really get to see his work in action once Assassin's Creed comes out later this year, which I hope will turn out better than Warcraft did. That will do it for today's episode of Old, New, and Now Playing. When you get a chance to see The Secret Life of Pets, I would love to hear your thoughts about it, and if you yourself are a pet owner, what do you think your pet does when you're not at home? Leave your thoughts and theories in the comment section below. And if you like this episode, please give it a thumbs up, that would just be swell. And if you want to stay up to date on everything we've got going on in this channel, just go ahead and click that subscribe button below. And guys, that will do it. Next week, we're going to be talking all about Ghostbusters. I'm talking the original Ghostbusters, Ghostbusters 2, and of course, the Ghostbusters reboot coming out next Friday. We're going to have all those reviews coming at you next week, so get your Proton Packs ready for that. But later this weekend, I'm going to have one more pet-themed review. We're talking about Studio Ghibli's The Cat Returns, so look forward to that very, very soon. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.